I got melanin. Oh yeah. I got melanin. We got melanin. Melanin. I got melanin. Oh yeah. I got melanin.
So I just want to say, first of all, thank you all for coming to the table here with me today. Thank you for filming Colloquialisms of a Black Man and Black Woman, respectively. I am so happy to be in each and every one of yours light, and I'm amazed, and grateful for all of the opinions that you have on the topics that we are speaking on this segment. And honestly, I feel like I love all of you already. I'm a Cancerian, guys, so like my emotions are just like all over the place right now. And then I have wine. The word. So I have 3 questions that I want to ask. I don't know how far we're going to take them because the conversation might go on a little bit longer than expected. So if it's just one, then it's just one. But yeah, because I know a few of you have to get out of here. I've been keeping them hostage, guys. So I do that.
Just sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
There's so much background noise. I think we need to be quiet.
So welcome to the table, and we have a few questions that we're going to ask so we can get your opinions as Black men and Black women. The first question is, why do we as a people feel like we need the approval of other people of other races, so much so that we degrade our own? Who wants to take the table on that one?
Of course I do.
Okay. Please, Mama.
I have like a lot of opinions about that. The feeling of needing approval of other races is because we live in a society which is dominated primarily by another race. This has gotten better. Mm-hmm. You know, it's gotten better. They don't own us anymore.
Yeah.
But that's where it used to be. So of course you had to have this approval, otherwise you got killed.
Yeah.
You know, so that sort of got passed down, even in a watered down form, but it still got passed down. They have to approve of you because it was a question of your life. Yeah. You know, and looking for the approval of other races. I'm even going to go there and just talk about white people because it's like the Asians sort of don't really enter into this. Looking for the approval of white people is, well, it was necessary for survival, but to get this approval, you sort of adopt their views and their attitudes. Their attitude being Black people are not worth very much. You adopt this attitude and you start thinking this about yourself and about your brothers and sisters.
Yes.
And it takes a long time to really understand where that is inside of you. Yeah, it's in all kinds of little corners where you don't suspect it to be.
Yeah.
And it takes an even longer time to extract that. But this is one of the big challenges that we face as a people.
Yeah. Please go ahead, Saeed.
No, I think in regards to that, we've been placed into this victim category. And because we are the victim, we're always looking for the approval of the oppressor. And see, the thing is, when it comes to being a victim is here. The oppressor is here. So we automatically put ourselves lower than the individual that's actually beating down on us. And so we had to get rid of that. We had to stop being victims. You know, once we stop being the victim, then we no longer look for the approval of the individual who's actually offering the opportunity. And before it was life, now it's livelihood. So now we want to get that approval so we have a good livelihood, so we can actually live better, have better jobs, etc.
Yeah.
But if we continue to do stuff like this, where we're supporting each other, then we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Exactly.
I think it also has to do, I mean, growing up in Germany at least, growing up sometimes being the only Black person around, you are constantly being reminded that you're different or that you're othered, right?
Yeah.
And then sometimes this can be a form of like a strategy to not even be seen even more, right? So you try to tone yourself down, you try to adjust to whatever predominant culture that is, so that you don't even like shine out even more.
Yeah.
Sometimes. And this is a form of protecting yourself.
Yeah. I heard something. Oh, sorry. Please go
Also, I would
ahead.
like to add that it's also very institutionalized. We all know what happens to people who do not seek the approval of whiteness. They get kicked out of their job. Society turns on them like they're not believed, treated like they're crazy or something. So I think sometimes it's even, you could say, trying to survive in the system. That's why you do it. You don't say to your job, you're a racist man or you are this, because you know the repercussions of that. You know everybody around the office is not going to back you up, and so it's also sometimes you do that because you want to survive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a survival thing. I know I heard something the other day where this lady, it was going viral on Instagram, and she was like, reclaim your time. And ever since I've heard that, I've adapted the motto, don't push the river, in a sense of I am going to be who I am in whatever space I'm in. And I've done that at work. I have done that in my home life. I've done that wherever I go. I am who I am, and it's either you accept me or you don't. I am not going to be subjected to what society tells me that I need to be anymore. I refuse, because I know that myself and my people are beautiful beings, and when we realize our true power, there will be no stopping us. And so I've decided 2019, reclaim my time. I said what I said, it is what it is. Asoka, you had something to say on that?
Oh my god, but it's really hard to, like, I feel like that was a good final end point. So I mean, I'm kind of like, should I say what I was going to say?
Please, go ahead.
I mean, basically I agree with everything that everyone around the table was saying, that it is a survival instinct, that it's historic, and also that it's really heavily based on levels of consciousness, you know? Because when you think about it, like those who, I feel like, again, swallowing the racist concepts that society, white society or other societies have of us, is a level of consciousness where we're unconscious. We're unconscious of ourselves, we swallowed the voices of others, and we don't really have our own voice yet. And I feel like, especially when we're children, this is when it's the heaviest, because again, we're trying to discover the world, and the world is telling us that everything that is black is negative. Black is equated with negativity. And then this is when the survival instinct kind of kicks in unconsciously, where as children we decide, okay, we need to try and somehow fit in with society. We can't really erase our skin, but we can erase the way that we talk, the way that we walk, the way that we act, to seem more white. Exactly. And then, you know, then again, like looking at another level of consciousness that usually is gained when you start to really discuss things within the black community, is when you start to realize that, again, there is the beauty of the black community itself. You know, and this is when we're able to learn from the others around us to expel the unconscious negativity that we have absorbed from the external society. And so that's equally important. That's why the community is so important, because we need that reflection. We need black faces reflected back on us in order to discover the beauty of black faces. You know?
I agree with all of that. Does anyone else have anything to say on that topic? No.
I covered it all, I guess.
We covered it.
Saeed, please go ahead, Saeed. No, continue, please.
Each individual has an image of themselves in their head. And the issue, I think, is that we carry this particular image, and we're allowing this image that has been placed on us to control who we are. Like, I'm from the ghetto in America, in Philadelphia. And for many years, I would walk around through Germany, I would think, oh man, they can see my ghetto. And I would try to hide that. You know what I mean? Say, oh, they can see who I really am, they're not gonna like that. And then eventually I just got to the point where you said, like you said, hey, I'm just gonna be who I am. You know? I'm gonna allow myself to mature the way I mature naturally. So I think just this image that we have of ourselves that doesn't even come from us, we have to get rid of that. Individually.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And that
Individually and together.
collectively. Yeah.
Yes.
Both.
The support is very important. It really is. It's so important. Because if we don't have the support, then we feel like, what's the sense? You know, I might as well succumb to what society tells me I am, or I might as well try to code switch wherever I go, or I might as well try to be this way or that way because my brothers and sisters don't support me.
Exactly. And you also feel like, and then you understand that it's not like an individual problem that I have only.
Yeah.
It is a structural
It's a collective
issue that we're all facing.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, if we try to, you know, fit in, we are never going to fit in.
Yeah.
It's always not
Yes.
always fake.
It never happens.
That's always fake.
First of all, I can't. Everybody can see that I'm black. No matter what I do, no matter how I talk, etc., everybody can see this. So this is nonsense for me to try to hide it. And the other thing is, so I've been a good girl. I've done all the right things, you know, and I'm getting closer and closer to the goals that, you know, the white society sets for me. And just before I get there, they move the goalpost. So you are never going to get there.
Word.
It is.
Which is a good reason to stop trying.
Yes.
And where do we go when we stop trying? Turn around and look around you. You know, turn around and look around you. You know, you've got your brothers and sisters who are there. And this is, I think, like, that's the work.
Yeah.
That's the work, really, that we can see each other.
I have to say it is important to definitely find this kind of family and support that's maybe outside of our own biological families, because there's so much anti-blackness that's internalized within black families. And you may not be able to find that kind of like love or black beauty within your own family. So if you have that kind of toxicity brewing and a family who is trying to tell you out of a desire to protect you that don't walk this way, don't talk this way because this is going to keep you safe, they have good intentions. But for some of us, we may step out of that eventually and realize, well, I'm not myself and I want to be myself. And if I can only be myself around a family that I have found and grounded as my own family outside of my biological one, I think that that's really important. But I also want to talk about the concept of like nationality, because I think when we're talking about moving the goalpost, I can only speak about the Americas because that's the side of the world that I come from and where I've lived. And I feel like in the United States, because the United States was never a space that was created for black people other than to obviously be enslaved and to be dehumanized in order to build a nation actually for people who are not black. I think that's the reason why we can never reach the goalpost, because we're trying to, when I say we, I'm just speaking very generally here. I think a lot of Americans and immigrants, because I'm an immigrant to the United States and to Germany, I think that there is this idea that, well, if we fit the nationhood concept of what our identity is, then no one is going to see our color, and they're going to treat us equally. And this, I think, is a huge myth and a huge gap within the United States. And this is why we also have the concept of the good immigrant. You know, we have that book, that collection of stories that came out a few years ago in the UK, and it's dealing with exactly this. It doesn't matter how good of an immigrant you are, at the end of the day, these spaces were never created for us. And it sounds terrible, right? It sounds like we don't belong. But I think if we really embrace that truth, we grow out of that truth on our own, and we've proved that we've done that. So that actually makes me think about the word victim. And I actually don't have a problem with the word victim, and I think that we should, on some level, all of society should embrace the idea of a victim, because we've been told, like, brush yourself off, get over it, you've survived, you're a strong black woman. Can I be a weak, sensitive, vulnerable black woman as well? Can our black men also be emotional and vulnerable and show their wounds and rip it open and say, look, I am hurt and I need you to help me. I'm not on equal footing in this game. So if these spaces were never created for us, we're always going to be hitting like this obstacle of like, well, am I a good enough German? Have I brushed off the hood enough? But then within the German context, they're like, well, we don't even get that because that's not part of like our culture. But they're gonna discriminate against you for something else, right? And that's just the only reason why I say that. I think like community, I'm with it. Like community is so important.
Yeah.
I just also know that sometimes we have to find those or found those communities for ourselves because they don't know.
People walk usually gives you a good definition of whether they come from an affluent society or whether they're like coming under the radar. When you go near Görlitzer Park, you see a lot of these black brothers and they're hunched, man. They look scared. They look like someone's still chasing their back.
We have this conflation of the word victim with defeated.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And so it's difficult until that has been recognized in our definition.